Welcome to the Black Male Impact. Today we have as guest Mr. Michael Peeples. Mr. Peeples, welcome to the Black Male Impact.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Man, it's a pleasure. But before we get into the conversation, I'm just going to share a little, but I'm also going to give you the opportunity to share with the audience, the listeners, more about yourself before we get into the conversation itself.
Right.
So Mr. Peoples is an entrepreneur. He's also a youth speaker and the founder of BU and Prosper. But as I said, please share more about your experience before we get into the questions.
Yes. As Dr. Cross indicated, I am an entrepreneur and a youth speaker. I help high school and college students instill confidence to succeed academically and professionally.
Man, that's important. Our young people really need to build the confidence. And
Yes.
sometimes that's what is missing. It's not that they're not capable of doing the work. They just need to have the confidence so they can go on and achieve their academic goal. So, man, that's great that you're doing that because working with students myself, I know at times that's what the students need to excel academically. So we're going to jump into the questions, and I know we will cover more about your experience as we continue with the conversation. So my first question is, what is the mindset that it takes to make a positive impact?
Wow, great question. I would say being secure and confident in yourself.
Okay. That's right. Being secure in oneself is really important. That's a really great mindset to have because we're going to be faced with a lot of things going on around us, distractions. People want to tell you how to be and how to show up, right? And if you're secure in yourself, despite of who you are, despite what people say or do, you will still be able to go about your daily life and achieve the goals you have for yourself. And I think that is great to be secure in yourself.
Yes, because I often say not understanding who you are is expensive.
Okay.
And when you understand who you are, it's priceless. Clarity becomes prosperity. And when you know who you are, you're comfortable and able to walk into any room.
Well, man, that is true. It's important. And as you said, not knowing or accept who you are is expensive. But what do you mean it's expensive?
By that, I mean that not taking time out to study who you are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, but really studying yourself. And when you understand your strengths, you can take it into so many facets and areas, and you can really master your craft and do wonderful things out there in the world.
That is important because you're right. Studying oneself is important. Not only studying oneself, as you mentioned, that is important. It also gives you the opportunity to develop your strengths. And sometimes we looked past our strengths, trying to do things to please other people, not knowing to be the best of who we are is to work on the things that we are already good at because you will enjoy more. And that's a great reminder to the listeners as we go on this journey to live our best life. And in living our best life, I believe giving ourselves to society or to what we do requires that we show up as our best self. And to show up as our best self is going to be based on the things that we know about ourselves and the things that we are willing to work on so we can be at our optimum when sharing with other people. And that will take me to my next question. What advice do you have for the men listening and how they can play a role in creating positive change?
Being present in the moment and taking time out to help others. Remembering it's bigger than you and also being emotionally available.
Man, that is really powerful right there. Being present in the moment, because if we're not present, we're not going to be able to make the connections that we need to make where we are. And it's important that we are connecting with the people so we can give maybe the best response, so we can even understand the people. Is that what you are saying? Like, when you are being present?
Yes, yes, yes. Also, to the point that sometimes we can get distracted, caught up in our cell phones, and we hear people, but sometimes not really listening and not giving them our full attention.
Okay, yeah, I think that is important as far as Black men in creating positive change. We need to be present. We need to make that emotional connection, as you mentioned, with the people or where we are, with those individuals that we are talking to or we're communicating with. So I think that is important. But when it comes to that emotional connection, why do you think we sometimes not present as Black men?
I think it's because some of us have not been shown another way, and we can get caught up in just following the same stereotypes and the same narrative. If my bar wasn't there for me, I'm just going to continue the path.
Well, man, that's right. That's true. If we weren't shown how to, and if we don't, as you mentioned before, we take the initiative to work on who we are, and if we don't take the time to work on who we are more likely to continue the stereotypes, the labels that have been placed on us as Black men. And I think that's a great reminder for all of us to realize that some of the changes that needs to be made, we have to take the initiative to
Mhm.
make those changes. We cannot say because we didn't have the experience, we're going to continue with the experience. Although sometimes it will be challenging if you're not
Mhm.
seeing, if you haven't seen the examples, or if no one have taught you how to. It's something that you'll have to take the initiative, or as men, we have to take the initiative to change. Do you have anything else you want to share on that topic itself, or you want us to continue with the questions?
We can continue with the questions.
Okay, so my next question is, how can we, as Black men, help change the narrative today? As you mentioned, the narrative.
I would say I would support one another. That's financially, that's emotionally, and just really being there. Once again, like being there for each other, and especially with the emotional component part. That's huge because we are there financially because we have no problem writing a check for one another, showing up. I would also say physically too, in terms of we have no problem going to the game with each other, but that emotional piece part a lot of us tend to miss, and that's really how we can really progress.
Okay. And I like how you share that point in regards to, yes, we will give support like financially, and we may show up physically, but that emotional connection is missing. Emotional connection piece is missing. But with the emotional connection, right? Why do you think we have a hard time with the emotional connection? Or do you think not having the emotional connection makes us withheld maybe our challenges that we're going through and make it hard to share those challenges?
I think that you said it right there in terms of we're some of us we're taught to not open up. We're taught as that as labeled as being soft or weak, of sharing how we feel. And we see all the time women, they have no problem expressing themselves, but with a lot of Black men, we tend to say, toughen up, keep everything in, and then you harbor everything, and then it all of a sudden explodes one day, and we forget that we're humans too. We we have feelings and emotions, all those, and its importance to not fall into the trap of what society has labeled us, and it's okay to express yourself.
And that's a great reminder, and it's so true. We have grown up in a society where we have to be tough. Well, that's what society says. And if you talk about how you feel, you come off as soft. But as we can see in today's society, Black men are becoming a bit more open to talk about, the challenges that they're going through. But it's still a struggle because that's a part of our DNA that have been become a part of our consciousness, where we're not talking about the challenges that we're dealing with or what we are going through. And if we don't talk about it, as you mentioned, it can explode where we act maybe violently or act out in ways that we would want to act out because we haven't talked about the issues that we face on our journey. And Black man, this is a reminder to all of us to you don't have to or we don't have to talk to everybody, but we can find out one or two individuals that we can trust, or even talk to mental health therapists, because sometimes it's easier to trust someone that you don't know. But it's always great to talk about those challenges so we can show up and be our best self. And that's a great reminder, Mr. Peoples, because that's something that we don't often address. Although, as I said earlier, we are becoming a bit more open to talk about the challenges that we face as Black men. So thanks for sharing that. I know you mentioned that you are a youth speaker and you speak to college students, but let me ask this question. What or who has influenced or inspired you to pursue the path that you're on?
Wow. I would say this question is pretty layered, but I would say first off, my mom said I never have shut up since I heard my voice. And I would say my parents' strong work ethic and drive. I would say my mentor encouraging me to join Toastmasters and seeing his success in it, and just in general in business. Also, my grandfather and godfather having businesses too. That just encouraged me as well too, to be in business. But the piece of speaking is something I really enjoy and love.
Okay. So, like with being that you choose to speak to you, was it something specific on your journey where you see the value of helping young people to gain confidence to so they can thrive? I know you mentioned you through your parents, and you see your grandparents with being an entrepreneur and stuff like that, and your mentors encourage you. But on your journey, as like throughout school, was it something that sparked you there, or it was later on your journey that you say, you know what, let me lend my voice to young people?
Well, yes, I had struggles in school because I was told I wasn't supposed to graduate middle school and high school. I was told I had no chance of getting into college. Had I listened to those narratives about me, and I didn't have that confidence and that drive to continue to push forward, I don't know where I will be. And that's why I felt it was my duty to give back and share the information I have for the next generation.
Man, that's a great story, because a lot of us at times have been told what we can't be or what we will not be. And once we overcome those challenges, it's, as you mentioned, it's our duty to help those who are coming behind us to realize that we don't have to be limited by the limitations others may put on us. So, man, that's great that you're on this path to empower our young people, and they need it, especially with all the distractions that they're dealing with in society today. And that leads me to my next question. What is your perspective on the current climate of Black men in society today?
I feel we are targeted. We are labeled as an endangered species. It's important for us to be aware of the images that we put out there. Also, for us to own our own media platforms to change those narratives of being labeled as an endangered species. And it's just important for us to share those positive images out there, having platforms like yourself.
Man, that's that. And thanks for sharing that. But that is really important. If we're going to change the narrative, we have to be mindful of the images that we put out. We should not be putting out images that align with the negative narrative. If we want to change the narrative or make it more positive, we have to put out positive images. And also, as you mentioned, we need to have our own platform where we control the image, we control the narrative, we control the story, we control what society sees. If we're going to change it, we have to be the one being at the forefront of changing it. Because one thing that I've realized, that if something is going to change and we can change it, we should not wait on someone else to change it. And that's what you just mentioned. We need to create the platforms that is going to help change the narrative. We have to be the one sharing the images. We have to be the one sharing the stories. We have to be the one taking charge of how we show up in society and make a difference where we can make a difference. Man, thanks for sharing that. And as Black men, it's something that we need to be really unapologetic about when it comes to changing the narrative. We cannot and should not allow others to take control of what images are put out there of us. We need to be at the forefront of changing the narrative, and we take control by what we do daily. So that leads me to my next question. What change do you want to see in general amongst Black men today? And I know you may have touched on it to some extent, but what change do you want to see in general and amongst Black men?
I would say that helping one another, especially when it comes to careers and when you're in positions of power, it's important that you bring someone else on board with you, because great power comes great responsibility, and it's just important that we help each other get in the room so it's not just you in there.
And that's a really powerful point, a really, really powerful point. When we're in positions of power, we need to open the doors for others. Man, you cannot stress that too much. That is really, really important and a valid point, because we sometimes will be saying we're not making enough progress, yet we have a lot of us in positions of power, but we tend to get there and forget that we have a responsibility to let in others, or let in others like ourselves in those spaces to progress themselves, to make their own contribution. And if we don't do that, man, it's going to continue where we're going to be lagging behind, where we don't make the progress that we can make. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the things that we have to become more cognizant of. As we get into these spaces, we have in position where we can create opportunities, we need to. It is very important that we create opportunities for each other if we're going to make progress. And I think I read somewhere where we sometimes think that it is, what I would say, the self-interest part, right? It's like we become guilty of helping each
Yeah.
other, which we should not. You see what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
everybody else will help each other. So we
Yes.
have
Yes.
to be
Yeah.
willing to help without feeling guilty, that we're helping someone
Hmm.
else that looks like us. But I will say, man, that's a really important point that we have to become more cognizant of when it comes to moving forward, making progress, and even for us to make the contributions that we're capable of making. Because if we're not in the position or in the environment, we sometimes don't get to contribute on the level that we would want to contribute. So that's a valid point again, as you shared. So my next question is, what was a pivotal moment in your life?
When I got fired from my corporate job a week before Thanksgiving.
Oh wow. So what did that
Yes.
what did that do to you? What message that did that send to you?
I knew I always had the entrepreneurial spirit since I was young. And honestly, it started the building blocks of what I have today inside my business here. When I remember this day like yesterday. I was sitting at my desk and the office phone rang and I was let go. And I'm thinking to myself, on paper, I did everything right. I My manager likes me. I was never late. My reviews were great. And then they said that I was let go because of budget cuts. But then I'm thinking to myself, I was there past 90 days, like everybody says, once you make 90 days, it's safe. But like I said, no one tells you about budget cuts. And that was a real eye opener for me. And like I already indicated, that it started the building blocks of what I have today of my company.
Oh man, that's great. And sometimes we have these experiences that we see as unfavorable experiences, but they are the ones that put us on a path to not only achieve greater success, but to even make greater impact in the world, which we are here to do. We are here to make an impact. We are here to contribute to the best of our ability. And sometimes being in spaces that we think we should be in sometimes will only restrict what we do and what we contribute. And sometimes, we're there because of security and we're wondering, for safety. And yet, in our heart, we want to make a greater impact. So, a lot of times,
Mhm.
a lot of people will tell you, a lot of successful individuals will tell you today, it's experience like yours, getting fired, getting cut because of budget, put them on the path to become the person they are today, achieving the success they have achieved and stuff like that. So, and that's a great point to share to the Black men, to us, to realize that something as tragic as that, losing the job you have, is not something that you take and give up on life or you give up on your dream. It could be the path to the dream you want to pursue. So that's thanks for sharing that story. But I know you're already on your path of doing what you want. So there is no sorry for Mr. Peoples, because now you're on the path to impact lives, and it's because of that unfavorable situation at the moment. Help you to tap into that which you wanted to do. So my next question is, what life lesson have you learned late in life that you believe is important and can benefit this current generation?
Never allow your struggles to outweigh your vision.
Go again, please repeat that.
Yes, never allow your struggles to outweigh your vision.
Hmm, man, that's powerful right there. Never allow your struggles to outweigh your vision. And
Yes.
could you explain to the listeners?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Because you're going to get knocked down and it's going to feel like you can't get back up. You're going to be challenged and it seems like your vision won't come to fruition, but it's that belief and that drive within yourself that you can see it come to pass. And it's very easy to sit back on a couch with a bowl of ice cream and just let your dreams pass you by. And it's just imperative that you don't get stuck in those difficult moments in life and understand about the bigger picture, knowing that it's going to get better.
Man,
And just
that's
keep that dream true to you and just keep going with your dream.
well, man, that's great, and a great reminder, because on this journey, you will get knocked down at times, but realize that we don't have to stay down and go on feeling sorry for ourselves, and but to believe that the dream is still possible, and take every step possible or do everything possible to achieve the dream. Man, that is really a profound perspective and how we should navigate our way forward. Don't let the struggles or outweigh or overpower the vision, because we already have the vision, but on this journey we will deal with challenges, but we should not succumb to those challenges. That's a great reminder, because no one really escapes the challenges or the
Yes.
hurdles or the adversities. We may have different challenges and adversities, but we all have our fair share of adversities and challenges. So it's important that we, stay focused on the vision and the dream and find it within ourselves to press forward so we can accomplish that which we want to accomplish. But before I ask my final question, please, if you don't mind, share with the listeners where they can find you and support the work that you're doing to make a difference.
Yes, I can be found on social media. That's Instagram, Twitter, well, now X, at Peeples Speaks. My last name, Peeples Speaks. Also, you can find me on my website at beyoundprosper.com.
Okay. Well, thanks. And I will definitely put it in the description so the viewers can find the link to connect with you to help support the work that you're doing. And it's when it's to help young people, especially to develop confidence within themselves, it's always important that we support those individuals who are on that path to prepare the next generation. And so thanks for the work that you're doing in that regards to empower the next generation. So my final question is, what impact do you want to have on the world?
I want people to know that they can accomplish their dreams despite the struggles that they may endure, that understand that it's part of your path, and you have to keep in mind that anything worth having takes time. And if it's too easy, you may want to question it, and then just remind people that to dream big and to believe in themselves and to never give up.
Man, that's important. We make our contribution, but again, our contribution is to help others to realize that they don't have to settle, don't have to give up on themselves, because that's important. That's what we're here for. We're here to help others. We're here to let others know through our own experience what is possible. And thanks for making the commitment to be of service to others, to make the contribution that you're making to support the next generation on realizing what is possible. It is important that we stay focused on our path for one, but also make the contribution to make a difference. As you know, with your company, be you and prosper, which is important.
Yes.
We have to be ourselves. It's important that we
Yes.
be ourselves, and to remind people of the importance of being themselves. something you want to, it's best to be you. You don't want to
Yes.
show up in the world as someone else. Be yourself, and as you mentioned, and prosper. And again, man,
Yes.
thanks for being here on the Black Male Impact. Thanks for sharing your insights. I believe that the points that you have shared is really important, from being ourselves, from nurturing our own ability and make the impact that we can make in society is important. And I know you have said some other points that I'm not really pulling back to memory right now, but the listeners can replay over and over to get those insights and how they can apply those to their own life as they move forward on their own journey. So thanks again, Mr. Peoples, and to the listeners, thanks for being here with us on the Black Male Impact. As always, we try our best to bring guests that will share insight and perspective that we believe is beneficial to all of us as we continue on our journey to make a positive impact. You know, the Black Male Impact is where positive changes are inspired. I wish for you to continue to support us on this journey as we continue to make a positive impact. Thanks for being with us here on the Black Male Impact. But Mr. Peoples, do you have anything else you want to say before we leave?
Yes, yes. First off, thank you again for having me. I truly appreciate it. And one more thing that I would like to leave with your viewers.
Okay.
Never forget that the wealth and power is in being yourself.
Man, thank you. That's a valid point. You hear that, listeners? Never forget that the power and wealth is in yourself, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's important. And as always, thanks for being here with us on the Black Male Impact, where positive changes are inspired. Thanks for being here with us.
Yes. Thank you.